We're down in Portaron for this brand new exhibition, Friend or Foe, and I'm really delighted that Catherine's joined us here because this is really a very close event to your heart, because behind us we have a picture of yourself, is that right? And your mother featured here in the exhibition.
We were both interned. I was 1 year old when we started and 2.5 when we finished. And this is the first time I've been to Port Erin or to the Isle of Man, and it's a very exciting moment. It's an absolutely fantastic effort they've made in a very short time, which will go down in history and carry on the history of the internment and the landladies and everything that happened here.
I take it you were too young to remember anything?
I remember an awful lot from the stories that my mother told, and the stories are so real that I can no longer know if they're memory or not. And for her, it was an enormously happy time. She was happy partly because she knew my father was safe at the other end of the island, and we saw him once a month. I said apparently at one point, "Didn't we used to have a man like that at home?"
Can you use your story about why your family got moved here?
Internment was a pretty random thing. My father worked in shipping, so that was an international thing, and he could have been a spy. And one was called up in front of a tribunal in London and classified A, B or C. And if you were classified A, you were interned. And then after a time you were just released for no apparent reason at either end that anybody could understand.
Did you get much notice, the family, that you were being moved over to the Isle of Man? Did you know where it was?
Not a clue, not the first idea. My father went straight from the tribunal. They were told to take suitcases to the tribunal just in case. My mother had 2 weeks' notice before she was moved to Holloway Prison, where she was for 6 weeks while they sorted out the transport to come here. And then everybody arrived here, 2,000 or 3,000 people all in one weekend. This morning I saw the train which brought us here, the tiny train in which we must have been squashed.
And that would have changed at all, of course.
Absolutely not. And the things that really impressed me we had lunch today at a very nice restaurant up the road, that really I've come here for 2 reasons. One, that we're curious, and I brought 2 of my granddaughters along so that in another 75 years they can come with their grandchildren. But also I've come to say thank you to the people of the Isle of Man, the landladies, the parents, the children, everybody who shopped and cleaned and cooked and made it indeed a positive time for us, as it was.
There were lots of reports it was a bit of a harsh regime. Did your mother remember it as that, or was it okay?
My mother was a writer, so she had time to write. They went dancing. They went dancing at the ballroom up the road. They sang in local choirs. She doesn't remember it as harsh at all. She remembers it as a warm time of friendship and a time for inner growth.
And yet there was a big long list of rules. I noticed that someone found that it was deemed to be more like a boarding school, I suppose, the way the lights out at 10, no talking, those sort of things.
Do you think they kept the rules?
Now, did your mother have a chance to ever see your father? Because you said he was on the Isle of Man as well. Were they completely separated?
In the beginning they didn't, and then after a bit married couples met somewhere outside at a cafe, or indoors if it was raining, and had a cup of tea together for an afternoon.
This exhibition is, as you say, touching like your grandchildren's lives, people that have no idea what it was like. This is important, do you think, to pass this story on?
I think it's important for several reasons. Firstly, one of the most anguishing things about this internment for the internees was that you were imprisoned at His Majesty's pleasure with no term. So you didn't know, was it going to be next week, next year, were you going to be carted off to Australia? And certainly in the United Kingdom, we still imprison people without term. There's still several thousand people who are imprisoned. They don't know when they're going to be let out, and we're the only country in Europe that does that.
So tonight, all the great and the good are coming down to see this, a chance for other people to come along, and you'll have memories to take back with you of this again and what it meant to you in your life, and especially your mum and dad's.
This will be an enormous talking point in London, and it'll be a startling revelation of things that we never knew about.